I want to show you a really interesting question. And the question I want to show you is this one. Take a look at this. It says a solid is constructed from a cylinder and two hemispheres. What do I mean by that? There's the cylinder there. So if we look at this, you got a cylinder that's right here. Boom, 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 da. Now you got a hemisphere which is up here, looks like part of a baseball cap, and then you got another hemisphere which is down here, which is the bottom part, okay? Now, the interesting thing is, if you think about this, if you're looking at a standard surface area of a hemisphere, what happens is most people will include the surface, and then they would include that surface as well. But I'm saying you can't. One of the reasons why is because that means it's this surface here and this surface here, which if you think about it, is in the center of the object. You can't paint that. Remember, when you're looking at surface area, think about painting the object. You can't reach in there and paint this part of the object or this part of the object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two things and I'm going to sandwich them together to give me one big, beautiful sphere. Look at that one. Isn't that pretty? Now, I'm also going to tell you that that sphere has a radius of 8. Now, one of the things that's interesting about these units is look at that. That says 8, that says 16, that says 8, but there's no units for this. Okay? There's no units. So if you read the rest of the question, it says at the end, to the nearest square unit. It's not saying centimeters, it's not saying meters, it's not saying millimeters, it's not saying anything like that. You're going to have to just put down at the end, units squared. That's how you're going to refer to it. Not centimeters squared, not millimeters squared, nothing squared. It's just units squared. So, okay, so let's finish this question off. The formula for this is 4 pi r squared for a sphere. Okay? Now, what's interesting here is take a look at our cylinder as well. Cylinder, a normal formula is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. Right? But what does this 2 pi r squared mean? That means, yeah, this top and this bottom. But remember, that's this section here again. That's the inside, and you cannot paint the inside of a solid object. So in fact, you're not going to include this in your calculation. Now, all you have to do now is just put in the values. Okay? Here's 4, there's pi, radius here is, from here to here is 8. And that's going to be 8 squared. So that's going to give us a number. Now, I want to do this in terms of pi. I want to do this in terms of pi. And the reason why is because if we put pi in this right now, it's going to give you some sort of crazy decimal that's going to be really, really ugly. Watch what happens if I just multiply the 4 and the 8 squared. I'm going to bring up my calculator here, and I multiply the 4 times the 8 squared. Okay? Enter. I get 256, but because I'm not putting in the pi, this is 256 pi. Check it again. Look, 256 back here, 256. I didn't multiply it by pi, so leave the pi there. And that's going to be units squared. So there's my surface area of the sphere. Now, going to this guy. Here we go. Punch the numbers. 2 times pi times radius again, which is 8, times the height, which is 16. Okay? So there's my 16 there. So let's just multiply this out again without the pi. 2 times 8 times 16. Bring up the calculator. 2 times 8 times 16, which works out to be, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? 256 pi units squared for this front surface. Excellent. So all you have to do now is add 256 pi's for the cylinder plus 256 pi's for the sphere. So that means you just add the two numbers together, 256 plus 256, 256 plus 256, to give you 512 pi units squared. Now, read the question. The question also said it wants it to the nearest square unit. Well, you know what? We could leave this as 512 pi, Or some people may turn around and say, no, you gotta multiply that by the actual value of pi. Okay, so let's bring up the calculator. I still have 512 there. I'm gonna multiply it by my actual second answer, my actual value of pi. And I get 1608.4, or 1608 because it's to the nearest 1608 nearest units squared. And that's how you do that question.